why does Bitcoin go up?
Yeah, great question. Bitcoin would be a tricky one.
That's your next,
Yeah.
your sequel to your book.
That's not something I've tackled yet. However, I will say this about Bitcoin and Ethereum and crypto. For many years, I was completely against it, right? People would ask me, what do you think of Bitcoin? What do you think of Ethereum? And I was like, no cash flow.
Right.
Can't value it. End of discussion. It's
Right.
digital gold, right?
Right.
That was, I just completely wrote it off, much to my demise, because it's up, I don't even know how many thousands of percent since I poo-pooed it as an investment idea. More recently, I've changed my thinking about it, and I did so because of this question. I asked myself, should there be a digital currency of the internet? Should there be a digital currency of the internet? I think the answer is yes. The more I think about it, the more I think the answer is yes. Okay, so if there should be, what's the top dog and first mover and leading contender to be that thing right now? It's Bitcoin.
Right.
Does that mean it will always be? No, right? Could there be another cryptocurrency that comes along that displaces it? Of course. Could the whole crypto thing disappear? Of course. But I view the world through the United States bias, right? Everything I know about the world is from living in the United States. I've never had to deal with massive currency devaluation, with getting money out of the country, with trying to remit payments. That is something that a lot of the world has to think about to deal with, right? From that perspective, when you compare the currency in like Zimbabwe to Bitcoin, Bitcoin looks like a safe haven. Right? The currency there is nothing, or paying huge fees to transfer money from one country to another. The idea of doing that through Bitcoin also looks like a safe haven. So I own a tiny little bit of Bitcoin. I plan on buying more over time. I see nothing wrong with making it a small part of your portfolio, assuming that if it doesn't work out and it goes to zero, that the rest of your finances will be okay.
Yeah, the approach I took, several years ago, I thought I was, the king of the world, and maybe was it 2016 or 2017, and got to experience that kind of rapid rise and fall. And thankfully I didn't. Actually, I heard a video with Charlie Munger talking about, one of the toughest problems with something like that is if it works, the worst, it can be almost worse because you'll end up falling for another thing like this. And because you think you're smart. And
Yeah.
at the time, I remember I watched a video, he said that, and I sold all my Litecoin. I bought a lot of Litecoin. So that the profits from that offset the panic feeling of the crash of Bitcoin at the time. So I held on, but I sold my Bitcoin. And I think I was at about 50. Yeah, it was at 50 is when I sold, and I still held on.
$50?
50,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, that'd be painful.
And that's our podcast. Thanks so much for listening. I'm gonna go cry in a corner. But no, so I held on to some Ethereum, but at the time anyway, the issue I was having was I'll never know when is the time to let go of this. Because like what you said earlier about, you're looking at the business and not the stock, and you can look at those numbers and see if the drop is deserved. There's nothing there I can really gauge. And of course, I've tried to read as many of the investing classics as I can, and not all of them have like this anti-crypto slant, but I know A Random Walk Down Wall Street, the latest version, does a really good job of going through all the bubbles. And then I read The Crash in 1929, a couple other books like that. And, it could just be availability bias, but it just was like, this reminds me a lot of what I'm seeing right now. I feel very strongly that, digital currencies are here to stay, and that we're in the early stages. I think blockchain is game changing and will continue to change the game. I just have a tough time with trying to get my head around, okay, but why is this going up, other than just someone thinking they can sell it to someone else? Especially with the lack of utility, it seems like with Bitcoin. I've been disheartened by, the fact that I have to incentivize someone to mine it for me and pay them these fees. And again, I'm not anti-crypto, I'm not anti-Bitcoin, Ethereum, or anything, but just willing to kind of challenge the assumptions. And, a lot of people my age are just like, totally, they don't see any of those other arguments. They're just like, nope, this is it. And I read there's an Investopedia survey that I was reading last night. I don't want to reference it without a full citation, but the gist of it was that, the younger generations, I'm a millennial, so then Gen Z, are looking to retire much earlier. They're expecting they'll retire much earlier. And one of the big reasons is crypto. It's going to help them, get to retirement faster. Now, that'd be awesome. I never root against that, but it makes me a little bit nervous that that's the expectation. So, we'll see how it goes. It's really fascinating though. I think it brings up so many interesting points about, what is value. And like you said, this is at one point it's like, well, this doesn't have any cash flow. So how is this? It's not a productive asset. So what is it? But it's definitely fascinating.